Hi, I'm Ian Linklip, the Consumer Insider. For 25 years, I've been representing consumers in disputes with businesses, car dealers, credit bureaus, and debt collectors. Each week, I bring you the inside scoop on how it is that businesses use documents in the court system to cheat consumers and bully them out of their money. With a little luck, we're going to help bring you a little wisdom and a little knowledge that's going to help you fight back, resist, and be heard by these businesses. Today, I want to talk to you about divorce and credit reporting. Most people think that divorce is the end of their relationship with their spouse. We sincerely hope that it is. But for most people, that's not necessarily true. And in fact, divorce can be just the beginning of what is a long and really difficult battle to reclaim your credit and your personal financial identity. Most people don't know this, but many identity thefts start as a result of a divorce, particularly a spouse who is not happy with the final decree of divorce, thinks they didn't get enough, doesn't like the custody arrangements. For whatever reason, these spouses have access to your personal information more so than anybody else, and so they're in a unique position to be able to steal your identity. And contrary to what most people think, the final decree of divorce where a judge says you owe this, you pay that, that has no effect on the credit card companies, the mortgage companies that have lent you money. So as far as those companies are concerned, you are still on the hook for every piece of credit that you signed for before you got that divorce, even if the judge assigned responsibility for that debt to your spouse. So today I'm going to give you some information about how it is you can prepare yourself for the divorce process. Make sure that you're ready to go into this and have your arms fully around the problems that you can face when you go through this divorce. So the first thing that you need to do before you even start thinking about walking into a lawyer's office or filing for a divorce is create your own separate file for your finances. What should you include in this file? First, include copies of all of your credit card bills, your mortgage bills, your insurance bills, any reoccurring accounts and bills that you have outstanding, you need to get into this file. Along with that, you want copies of any bank accounts, investment accounts, and any other kind of account that you have, bank accounts, investment accounts, checking accounts. Get those all into a single file. If you are starting this venture with the cooperation of your spouse, if it's going to be amicable, get them to do the same thing. Make sure that they get their bills. You want to have a picture as best you can of all the bills that you are individually and jointly responsible for as a couple before this divorce proceeding starts. Next, second, get a copy of your credit report. And if you can't order that on your own, just remember you can go to my website, www.consumerlawyers.com. I have free resources there to help you order your credit report. You should also do this with your spouse. Remember, you are not allowed to access your spouse's credit report, but they can order their own credit reports, and together, the two of you, if you are getting ready to jointly divorce, you want each of these parties to order their own credit reports so you can finish off that credit file. Those credit reports from the major credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and Innovis, are going to identify for you all the credit accounts that you have outstanding. And that list may be a little bit different than the list of companies that are in that credit file already if you've already gathered those documents. You're going to see accounts that you thought were closed but have not been closed. You may also see in the inquiry log inquiries from debt collectors and other companies that are looking to collect money from you. That gives you an idea that there may be more debt out there than you thought. It's very important that you get your hands on your credit reports and have a very full picture of all the debts that are owed by you and your spouse jointly. So the credit reports are going to help you there. More importantly, there's another brand of credit report, another type of credit report that's a specialty credit report, and it covers banking accounts and checking accounts. And the companies that issue these reports have that reporting information available from almost every major bank in the country. And the importance of this is you can find immediately all the assets that are out there in not only your name but your spouse's name. So if you and your spouse are, again, on good terms and you can get this information together, all the better. By the time you're done with this step, you'll have a very complete picture of all the debts and all the assets of the marital estate before you even start this. And the names of those reporting agencies are Telecheck, Check Systems, and Early Warnings. And again, these are specialty reports most people haven't heard of, but you can get a free letter to order these reports from my website. And remember, your credit reports are free to you once a year by federal law. So there's no charge for any of this. And anybody who wants to charge you money to order these reports is really trying to take your money from you. You can get these for free from those credit reporting agencies using these free letters. Next, you want to make sure that before you start your divorce that you close off any existing accounts to new charges. You do not want to be in the position where you are continuing to be responsible for your spouse's credit charges that they're racking up after you've decided to make the step, take the plunge, and get a divorce. So you want to close those off to new charges. You may not be able to close the accounts fully because to do that you'd have to pay them off, but you can always close them off to new charges. And when you do that, you want to make sure that you do that in writing, that you have a copy of the letter, and you want to make sure that you also get a response back from that company in writing saying, yeah, we are closing that off to new charges. Here's your current balance. Without that, there is a possibility that you can be hit later on for charges incurred by your spouse on a jointly held account. You don't want that to have that happen, so you need to be persistent and you need to get something confirmed back to you. And you should put that together with your credit file so that you always have access to that in the future if somebody comes back and says that there are new charges. We've seen any number of times when consumers have come to my office after they've been divorced saying, hey, I closed this account, but there's no documentation and the credit card company is continuing to press on for new charges. We don't want that to happen, so make sure you write and make sure you get a response. Next, you want to make sure that you, to the best extent possible, that you are able to close and discharge any joint debt that you have together with your spouse. What does that mean? That means that any credit cards that you jointly have with your spouse, you want to use marital estate assets to pay those accounts off and get them closed and shut them down once and for all and make sure that they're closed in good standing. This is not always possible, but it is something that you should always aspire to, because if you can't close those accounts off, that means that you are going to continue to be responsible for any joint debt that you incurred. That includes credit cards and mortgages and checking accounts. And you don't want your former spouse having any continued control over you or your financial freedom after that divorce process has started. And this is the way to do it. Make sure that those accounts are discharged to the extent that you can, and use whatever marital assets you have to do that, because otherwise you could be on the hook for something that your spouse does after you've been divorced. Next, number 5, you want to notify all the credit reporting agencies and all of your creditors and all the people that you have money and accounts with of your new name, your new location, your new address, wherever you are, and the fact that you have been divorced and that your spouse is no longer together with you and that you are not going to be responsible for any further charges. So you want to make sure you have a copy of this, and you want to make sure that you save a copy of this letter together with your credit file, and that you have access to it, and that you always know where to put your hands on this. Because in the future, if there's any problems with your credit report, if there continues to be items that pop up on your report that show joint responsibility, you'll have the documentation that you need to show that you've already notified the credit bureaus and the companies who are responsible for that report about the change of address. So it's also important because as you move forward, if you are not able to do that thing that we talked about beforehand, if you're not able to discharge your debts completely from your spouse, you're going to want to continue to know and have notice if your spouse is paying that mortgage and paying that credit card bill. And the only way to do that is to make sure that they have your address moving forward. So you want to make sure that they know this. Lastly, number 6, we want to make sure that you monitor your credit reports and your accounts in the reports that were joint accounts. And you do this by pulling your credit reports regularly. You want to make sure that if your spouse was assigned responsibility for a debt that was jointly held, even if there's no new charges, you want to make sure that they're paying on time. They're paying that mortgage on time. They're paying that credit card on time. If they aren't, and it's a jointly held account, that means that your credit's going to be impacted, and you may wind up paying higher credit card rates, lose insurance, or lose a job opportunity because of the adverse credit reporting information. You don't want that to happen. And most importantly, if your spouse has been assigned responsibility, as soon as you know that they're not paying a credit card or a mortgage or some other obligation, you can bring that back to the judge and ask the judge to force them to do this. And you can also ask for damages at that point for the damage to your credit report. You want to be in that position, but if you don't know that it's happening, you can't come back to the court and ask for the court's help. So if you continue to monitor that, you'll be in a position where you can come back to the court and provide good information about what's happening and whether or not the spouse is complying with the final decree of divorce. And most importantly, if they're not paying that bill, you should pay that bill. You don't want to suffer a ding on your credit report just because your spouse has refused to pay the bill. That's something that you may have a very difficult time getting money from your spouse for. If they're not paying the credit card bills, they may not pay for the damage. So you want to make sure that you are preventing any harm that you possibly can, because again, you are responsible in the eyes of the creditors and in the eyes of the credit reporting agencies and the credit reporting system. So make sure that you're monitoring that. So that's it for today. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. Just remember, you can download all the free resources that I spoke about on my website at www.consumerlawyers.com. There you can find resources on how to order your credit reports, how to dispute your credit reports, how to get yourself on the Do Not Call registry, how to opt out of pre-screened offers, and a number of other things that may be helpful for you down the road. Remember, your rights die if you do not use them. Dispute false information on your reports, opt out of the pre-screened offers, put yourself on the Do Not Call registry, and be heard by these businesses who would want to take advantage of you. If this video helped you, pay it forward. Hit the like button, leave a comment, leave a review, and let us know. And share this video with somebody who could benefit from the information that we provided today. That's it for today. I'm Ian Linklip, the Consumer Insider. You can find me on the web at www.consumerlawyers.com. You can find me on Twitter at MIConsumerLaw and on Facebook at Michigan Consumer Law Center. If you have any questions for me, you can email me at podcast@consumerlawyers.com, and you can find my website again at consumerlawyers.com. That's it for today. Thanks.